Ivo, all need to express themselves, the light as well as the dark. The dark seek out the light to do what it does, destroy. While the light seeks out the dark to do what it does, heal. This interplay is the stuff of life on your earth. It is all there for a reason. One without the other is incomplete. The dark expresses itself to the light in order to achieve its purpose. You must hold dark and light. All do. Each expresses itself by predominance. If you come across a situation you react one way or the other, through your shadow or your light, soul. Emotion is measured in degrees or vibrational levels. He was so mad, he got a bit mad, or he was slightly annoyed, all vibrations, charging of energies by the predominant faction of the personality. Both attempt to express themselves in a reaction, but the predominant one wins the ability to express itself. Although you will see people waffling between anger, then having other thoughts and feelings of forgiveness, not caring, etc., indecision is the reaction of both factions of the personality at the same time. Work to decrease the dark, shadow, to reveal the light underneath. Labeling things negatively as in, this sucks, or I hate this, does not help. See the positives behind every transaction. This means you may have to stretch your thinking uncomfortably. You may think, this is weird. Nobody thinks this way. Do not worry what everyone else thinks. If nobody agrees, you will not get positive mirroring. Learn to validate yourself. Here is an example. You get into a car accident and your car is badly damaged. Me, don't even say that. Ivo, what positive can you find in this? Me, none. Ivo, my dear, think back to when you were 16. You were in a car accident. Several extraterrestrial friends' voices warned you to stay at your sister's house overnight and not drive, but you did not believe these strange voices you heard, as you'd been taught to do. I've heard Ivo all my life, but he didn't officially introduce himself until I was 53. So for a long time, he was just some voice in my head that I'd been taught to ignore. Ivo, you did not listen, and 3/10 of a mile from your exit on that thundery night with the rain coming down in buckets, your car was hit right behind the driver's door by a drunk driver. Fortunately, as you were flung off into the trees on the roadside, I turned 15 degrees to my right as I was pushed off the highway to directly face some trees. You did listen when we told you to hit the brakes. This slowed you down enough to stop any internal damage or to keep you from flying out of your lap belt and hitting the windshield. This was 1977. Shoulder straps became mandatory afterwards. The people from Texas stopped, sent someone else to call the police, and came to be sure you were still alive. You had tiny scratches from the shattered safety glass of the window, but otherwise were okay. Ivo, what can you, after 40 years in hindsight, say positively about this? What are the positives, my dear? Me, I lived. Yeah, I got my license 3 weeks before that accident. And that was no minor fender bender. Ivo, do you see how strong you are? You avoided that spot on the highway for years, but you are a strong survivor. This was also an opportunity to listen to those inner voices, but you took time to learn to do that. That has cost you much, my dear. Had you thought of it, you might have wondered who those voices were and tried to speak with them further, but at the time you did not. Ivo, the next day you family's fixation with the condition of the car rather than your condition was dismaying to you, but you'd learned not to draw attention to yourself in your family, so you said nothing. However, your mother's running out to the police car and her relief to see you walk out of it alive, does indicate she loved you. You have always questioned whether she did or not. She thought the police officer was coming to tell her you'd died. That is one of the reasons your mother was so angry with you. You could not see she loved you. You were not communicating well at all. Your father was a different story, though. A totally selfish man, he simply went to bed. Me, yeah, he was a swell guy, wasn't he? Ivo, he has his shortcomings, to be sure. My dear, your mother cared. Your father behaved the opposite. This was the message you could have gotten from that night. We were there for you as well as your mother, who looked after the hives you broke out in after this accident. We loved you too, enough to save your life. You were not as alone as you thought, even then. Also positive was the message not to drink and drive, which you missed as well later on. Me, guilty as charged. Ivo, you missed a lot by not looking at the positives, my dear. You were focused on negatives. And what of the car your family was so concerned about? Me, I don't know. Ivo, exactly. These things do not matter. They are material. They can be replaced. You cannot. Your family was materialistic although they claimed not to be. They were also extremely inept at dealing with emotions. Me, yes, that I knew. Ivo, any more positives? Your father was selfish and did not know how to deal with life. The strong one was your mother who met these situations head on. She made herself vulnerable always but tried to look strong in the traditional sense. She was strong, my dear. Things are not always as they seem to be. She cared for you. She just did not like being vulnerable. She faced losing a child that night. Your father could not do it. Losing a child is something no parent would wish for themselves or anyone else. She had to do it and she managed. Give her credit please. Your father, instead, focused on the car. That, he could face. Me, good thing he never found out that I hit a post backing up in a parking lot later on in the same car. Ivo, your brother knocked the dent out of it before your father came home from work. What does this tell you about your brother? Me, got it? Ivo, he is not perfect, neither are you. Do you see how forgiveness helps to heal, my dear? Me, yes. And the moral of this story is: 1. Don't drink and drive. 2. Don't focus on negatives, find the positives. 3. Life in a dysfunctional family will help you grow the rest of your life. 4. Listen to your inner voices. They love you. 5. Forgive, forgive, forgive. P.S. I've always wanted to thank the people from Texas who stopped to help me. This took place on the QEW Highway in Niagara Falls in June 1977. I was a 16-year-old blonde female, driving a gold Toyota Corolla coupe. Who knows? Maybe they're out there on the internet highway somewhere. This accident went to provincial court where the accused was acquitted through lack of evidence. The witness, which was me, was almost slapped with a contempt of court charge for becoming emotional and swearing in court. In a strange twist of life, a few years later I was driving the company Ford Ltd on business errands near the rail yard. After pulling out of the parking lot, I saw the man who'd hit me crossing the railway bridge. As I pulled closer to him, we stared at each other. Of course, I let him cross. I'm not the vengeful type.